Hi everybody! Welcome back to Playdate! It's springtime, which means it's time to think about going back outside. That's why this month our theme is lovely landscapes. Now I know what you might be thinking. You're asking, Diane, what's a landscape? That's a great question. A landscape is any scene outside where you can see things like hills and mountains, or maybe bodies of water like the ocean or a lake. You might see natural things like plants, like trees and bushes or flowers. You may also see buildings and people and animals, but they're not the main story when you're looking at a landscape. It's really all about those natural elements. Now, if you're in an area like here in Milwaukee where there's lots and lots of buildings and also streets and people and all kinds of other things, we call that a cityscape because it's not as much about the land because you're seeing more of the things in an urban environment like buildings and sidewalks. Another thing to think about with landscapes is you can see them in all different parts of the world. So all different types of environments like fields or maybe the Arctic tundra where it's really cold, maybe a rainforest, a desert, an island in the middle of the ocean. You can also think about landscapes having different types of weather. It might be a bright sunny day, or it might be rainy or windy. Maybe it's nighttime, so it's dark. Maybe it's cold, like in that Arctic tundra I mentioned, or maybe it's really hot, like in a desert, or it might be humid, like if you're in the rainforest. So there's all different types of things you might notice in a landscape. You might have seen landscape photos, like in a magazine or maybe a postcard. You might have also seen landscape drawings or paintings in an art gallery like at the Milwaukee Art Museum. And right now, let's take a look at one of my favorite landscape paintings in our collection. This painting by Milton Avery is called Red Rock Falls. At first when you see it, you might think, is this a landscape? I just see a bunch of colors. But take a closer look. Do you see that light blue curved shape in the lower left corner of the painting? If we look at it carefully, we can see how it might be a river that's curving from the center of the canvas out to the corner. Now look at the bluish gray area going up and down near the center of the canvas. Can you imagine how that area might be a waterfall splashing straight down into the river below? Now that we can see the water in the painting, let's look at the other colors. That purple area in the lower right reminds me of a beach. The sand at beaches isn't usually purple, but the artist imagined that it might have a fantastic color. Behind that purple, I see dark brown and green. Those might be areas where there are rocks or plants. On the other side of the waterfall and river, I see red, brown, and green. The red and the brown areas have crisscross lines on them that might remind you of the textures in rocks or dirt. That green area in the back of the painting looks like it might be grassy hills far behind the waterfall we're looking at, and the sky behind that is pink. Maybe it's sunrise or sunset, and that's making the sky look that color. Or maybe the artist is being imaginative with the sky, just like he was with some of the other areas of the painting. Now that we're able to look at this painting and understand what we're seeing in all the colors, let's go back and learn how to make our own landscape. I really like the colors in that painting, don't you? So that's given me a lot of ideas for our project today, which is going to be making our own landscape out of nothing but paper. Here's what you need. If you have pieces of colorful paper like this, I have all different colors. You might have construction paper. And if you don't have colorful paper, I'll show you a little bit later what you can do with just plain white paper. So there's my colorful paper. You can also grab paper from around your house that you might have with different colors. Like I have like circular from the mail. I have a clothing catalog. I also have origami paper. This has some nice colors and patterns. So any of those will work. Once you have your papers all together, you might also want to get a glue stick or maybe some tape and a pair of scissors. But these aren't totally necessary. I'm going to show you how you can just tear things apart if you don't have scissors or glue handy, but those are handy if you have them around. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is figure out the base for our landscape. I have this nice sky blue paper, so I'm going to use that because that already has the sky color built into it. And then I'm going to start laying out what do I want to put in my landscape. So, maybe I want to have some mountains in the background. Maybe they're really far away. And we don't have to use realistic colors. Like remember in the painting, there were all different types of bright colors. So this can be kind of a fantastical version of a landscape. So I think I'm gonna try making some mountains in my pink. And these two papers are the same size, so I know that my pink will fit. But I'm just gonna tear apart some pieces to make my mountains. And there's no real trick to this. You can kind of make some points. So I'll show you. I'm gonna rip a little bit. If it doesn't go exactly where you want, that's okay. This is actually going to give you a natural look. So do you see how there's kind of that peak like my mountains? And I'm going to lay it on top of my blue paper. So now this is going to be what's farthest away in the background. The background is the part of a painting, drawing, or other artwork. We're actually making a paper collage. The background is what's farthest away from you when you're looking at it. So in my landscape, there's a mountain that's really far away. I think there might be some other hills and mountains in front of my pink one. So I'm gonna choose another color. Maybe this time I'll do yellow. And I'm gonna tear another mountain. I wanna make sure it's not the same shape as this one because I wanna mix it up a little bit so I have two different mountains. The yellow one's gonna be in front of my pink one. So I'm gonna tear again. And maybe I'll even do like a little curve there, and then maybe there's the start of another one in front. So now I'm gonna layer these together. Ooh, all right, how do you like my mountain background? So I have my pink mountain in the very back, it's very tall. I have my yellow mountain, maybe it's more like a hill, it's not really that pointy. That's in front of it. And then I'm gonna think about, what's in front of those? I could just keep adding more and more mountains. Maybe this is like a really mountainous or hilly landscape that I'm looking at. But maybe I'd like to do something like in the painting we saw and add some water. I already have the blue from my sky, so I'd like to use a different blue for my water. I'm gonna look in my catalog. This is a clothing catalog, so there's lots of different colors and patterns here. I'm trying to look for something with lots of blues. Let's see. Maybe this page. So I'm just gonna tear this out. And I'm picturing, before I start tearing or cutting, maybe there's some water kind of running along here. Unlike the mountains or hills that I made before, the water is going to be pretty flat. You could make really high waves if maybe it's a windy day or there's a storm coming, but I think my water is going to be pretty calm, so I'm going to rip this pretty much straight across, if I can. All right, well, I ended up kind of with some little waves, but I sort of like how that looks. I'm going to put that down here in front. And you can see that it's a little bit longer than my original blue paper, so I can just rip or cut off the bottom. I'm gonna cut it. Oh, here's Reggie. And it doesn't have to be straight because we're gonna keep layering in front of it, so no one will know if it doesn't perfectly line up. All right, okay, so there's my two mountains or hills. I have some water. And then maybe in front of that water, maybe it's like a river or a stream, there's some plants. So I'm gonna look for some greens. Here's a nice green. And I'm gonna, instead of ripping a long strip like we did for the mountain, I'm gonna tear apart smaller pieces that might be little trees or bushes. I'm just gonna rip a whole bunch of those. I'm gonna make them different shapes to represent different trees. And yeah, there's no exact way to do this. It's fun to just rip up paper to little pieces. I'm gonna arrange these. Let's see here. And here's where, if you feel like you like how your landscape collage is coming out, you can start gluing it down. I'm not gonna glue it quite yet because I wanna keep playing around with my shapes. There's a lot of little pieces now. All right, so I have my two mountains. I have my blue water and I have some plant shapes. I'd like to add other plants too that aren't just green. Ooh, okay, here's some nice green here. And it's different from the green I already have. So I'm just gonna rip out little pieces of that. I'm gonna try to make different shapes so that it's kind of a nice mix. Ooh, yeah, okay. I'm gonna put some in front of my other green. some behind, so it's a good mix. Okay, it's getting a little hard to hold up now, so I'm gonna lay it out flat for you to see from above. Here, check that out. Oh boy, some cat hair. All right, and I'd like to add some flowers too, so I'm gonna take out some of my origami paper, and I like this pinkish peach flower pattern on top. I'm gonna just rip out little small pieces of that to represent some flowers in my scene. And these can be kind of like all different crazy shapes because flowers grow in all kinds of formations. Okay, so now I have these, and again, I'm gonna tuck some beneath some of the green, some in front, so that it's kind of like the effect of like seeing wildflowers outside. Yeah, ooh, I like that. So at this point, you can rearrange it until you like it. Maybe you can keep adding more. This might even be something that you come back to again and again, and you add new patterns and colors. If you really like it and you want to save it forever, maybe hang it up on the fridge or the wall, you can get your glue stick or some tape and you can attach all the pieces together so that you can hang it up. I think I'd like to save my landscape, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue my pieces down, and I have the perfect thing for you to watch while I do that. My friend Melanie is in a super special landscape in California. So she's gonna come to us from there, and she's gonna show us her landscape. She's also gonna tell us about a very special instrument that she's really good at playing. Hi, Melanie.
Hi, Diane. Hi, friends. I'm Melanie, and I'm so excited because I get to talk to you about music. I love music so much. I love to listen to it. I love to play it. But before that, I want to show you where I'm at. I am at Joshua Tree National Park, and I'm so excited to show you my surroundings. Look at this lovely landscape. Here's some Joshua trees right here. They're such fun shapes. Look at that, and the beautiful, magnificent boulders in the background. Oh my gosh, it's such a lovely, amazing place. All right. Well, back to the music, friends. All right. I want to talk to you about music. I love to play a musical instrument called the ukulele. I love to play the ukulele. It's such a fun instrument to play. But before I play it and before I show it to you, I want to give you a little historical background. Now, although we may think of the ukulele as a uniquely Hawaiian instrument, and the word ukulele is in fact Hawaiian, the instrument itself finds its roots in Portugal. Now, Portugal is a long way from Hawaii, so how did that even happen? Well, great question. A long, long time ago, in the late 1800s, so a very, very long time ago, there was a group of Portuguese immigrants that traveled to the Hawaiian Islands by boat. And it took a very, very long time. It took 2 weeks. 2 weeks to get there. So as you can imagine, as they arrived on the Hawaiian shores, the white, beautiful sand, the swaying palm trees and the warm breeze and the turquoise waters of Hawaii, they were so happy to have arrived safely that one person in particular brought out an instrument called the machete de Braga, or the braguina, and started joyously playing it and dancing. So, the native Hawaiians loved the instrument, including the Queen of Hawaii at the time herself. She loved it. So when it arrived, they decided to create a very similar instrument, the ukulele. And it's a little bit larger in size, but very similar in all other ways. And the queen named it Yuku, which means gift, and Lele, which means to come. So she believed that it was a gift given to the Hawaiian Islands from the Portuguese. All right, back to you, Diane.
Wow, wasn't it so fun to see Melanie in Joshua Tree National Park? I've never been there, have you? Those trees look so cool and all those rocks. Oh man, I want to visit that landscape one day. Speaking of landscapes, here's mine. I glued it all together. What do you think? There's my mountains in the background. Oh, and I forgot to tell you what this part is called. The part of a painting, collage, drawing, photograph The part that's really close to us, in this case that's down at the bottom in the front, that's called the foreground. So foreground is close to you, background is far away. There we go. I'm going to show you how to make one more type of paper collage landscape, and this time I'm going to show you what to do if you don't have colorful paper. So I have just some white regular printer paper, and then something to add colors with. So I have markers, I have colored pencils, I have watercolor. You can use any of those. I'm going to use markers right now. And then I still have my glue stick and my scissors from before. So this is going to be a slightly different kind of collage. Instead of it being on flat paper, we're going to make something a little more three-dimensional. So the first thing we need to do is transform this rectangle of paper into a square. And there's an easy way to do that. I'm going to just fold this corner down to meet this edge, and I'm going to cut off the bottom. So I'll show you how to do that. Here's my top corner. I'm going to fold it down. I'm going to align this edge with this edge. And if it's not totally perfect, that's okay. You just want to get it close. Close enough to being a square kind of shape. Okay, so there we have it. I folded it down. I made a triangle here. And then see this extra part underneath the triangle? I'm just going to cut it off. You can also fold along that edge and tear it, but since I have my scissors here, I'm just going to use them. And again, this doesn't have to be totally perfect. And here's our square. The next step is to make another diagonal fold. See how we have a diagonal from this corner down to this corner? We want to make one from this corner down to this corner. And we do that by folding another diagonal the other way, so lining up those two corners, pressing it. Okay, so now see how our square has two folds and there's four triangles. I'm going to take my scissors again. If you don't have scissors, you can always just tear. And I'm going to cut from this corner to the center right along this fold. There we go. Now it looks like my square has some little legs. But what we're going to do is take those two triangles and fold it so that they overlap, like that. And now see how we have a triangle, but it's sort of three-dimensional. You might have heard of a diorama, which is a scene that has length and width and also depth. A lot of times people use something like a shoebox to make a diorama. This is a triorama, so that means it has three different angles here. So we have this angle, and the one in front, and then there's depth down back to here. I want to seal this all together, so you can either put some tape or I'll use my glue stick, and I'm just going to put glue on one of these triangles all the way to the corners. And then again, I'm going to fold it so that the glue part is underneath. And there we have it. Okay, so now we have our base. If you have the colorful paper, you can do similar to what we did before, but I'm going to keep showing you what to do if you don't have any other colors of paper. So I'm going to get some more paper. I also have my little scrap that I cut out here. But first I want to add a background, which means actually I need to decide what kind of landscape will this be. I think I'd like to make this one into a garden. So it'll be kind of like we're looking at a little corner of a garden with lots of different flowers and other plants. So first I'll just draw in a background using my markers. And again, you can use any kind of materials you like to add colors. Let's see, maybe I'll add some blue to the sky. Maybe I'll add some clouds. Some nice fluffy puffy clouds. And some blue around them. And again, I'm going to be covering up a lot of this, so it does not have to be perfect, and you'll see mine definitely isn't. Some blue. It's a little bit tricky and different to color on something that's at an angle like this. So you can see this is not my most beautiful sky of all time, but I made a couple clouds, and I'm going to just put some green below that just in case there's anything showing. I'd rather have some green in the background than the white. So again, I'm just going to color kind of messy. Doesn't have to be really perfect. Green. And maybe I'll do the ground part, the flat part in front, also with some green, because this is going to be a really full, lush garden. Lots of plants, so I want lots of green. Okay, so this is just my base. Now I'm going to think about what I want to put in front. Maybe I'll use my little scrap first. So I can put taller things in front. Remember our background, the things that are far away. So if something's tall and far away, you can still see it. So maybe I'll do things that are a little taller. And here you can cut or you can rip. I'm just going to rip a couple pieces of my paper. And maybe I'll do some trees. Maybe some trees have lots and lots of leaves, kind of a round shape. Maybe I'll do one more like that. I'm just doing little loop-de-loop swirls. Maybe now I'll do something that looks kind of like a fir tree that has long, straight branches. And if you want, and you have scissors, you can cut around the edges of these. So I'll cut out that pointy top. I can leave the rest and then I'll cut these out. They're kind of circular. Cutting out some trees. And for this one, you kind of have to glue or tape them in because it doesn't lay flat like our paper before. So, okay, so I glued my two round trees here and my fir tree here. See how I layered these? Because it's two trees growing near each other. This one's in front of that one. Okay, what else do I want to add to my garden? Well, I think I need some flowers, so I'm gonna get my new piece of paper. Flowers that can go in front. I'm gonna start with my red. I'm gonna draw lots of nice red flowers. Maybe I want to mix in a few other colors with my red. So I'll get some orange. And maybe I just want to add some leaves, so I'll get my green again. There's going to be a lot of green in this. Okay, so here's my one group of flowers, and you can cut or tear these out. And let's do some more flowers, maybe a different type. These have round petals, so maybe I'll make one with pointy petals. Pointy petal flowers. And I'll add some leaves again. And again, if you have colorful paper, you can always cut these out. And you don't have to make a garden. You can make any kind of landscape you like. Remember, you can think of all different environments all around the world. You do a tropical island. Here's my flowers. Let's find a place for these. All right. Do you see my flowers now growing in front of the trees? And then here's something fun we can do with that flat part in front. I can draw another set of flowers or plants. Maybe this time I'll do tulips. I have a pink marker and I'm gonna do some tulips. They're kind of spiky on the top and round on the bottom. Maybe some are short and some are tall. There we go. Tulips have long stems and they have long leaves. There we go. So this time I'm gonna cut it out, but instead of cutting out right around the tulip like I did before, I'm gonna cut out a little bit more along the bottom, and I'll show you why in a second. So I'm gonna cut, and I'm gonna go a little bit beyond where the bottom of the flowers are. So see, I have some extra space. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold that down like this. And then if I put glue on the little tab that I made, these can stand up. Let's try it. I'm gonna do this on top of my other paper so I don't get glue on my table. Okay, get that tab. And ooh, look, it's getting 3D. Here are my tulips in front of my orange and red flowers. And I'm gonna go ahead and add some more flowers. All right, how do you like my garden? Look at all those extra flowers. You can see what's in the foreground, what's close to you, what's in the background. Remember those trees that we put down at the very beginning? And you can build this up and build this up. I just added a few more flowers, but you could add a lot to your triorama. Whew, I hope you like making this with me. All right, let's go and meet up with Melanie again. Now that we know about the history of the ukulele, she's going to play it for us. Let's join her again. Hi, Melanie.
All right, friends, I'm back. Hi. And I'm back home and back from my trip from Joshua Tree National Park. Oh, it was spectacular, and I recommend that you go if you haven't gone yet to visit. It's so beautiful. All right, so I'm here to talk a little bit about the ukulele. This is it here. This is my ukulele. So right here we've got our body of the ukulele. It's this kind of figure 8 or snowman shape. It's called the body. We've got the back, just like we have a back. The ukulele also has a back and a front. The ukulele has 4 strings. Do you want to count them with me? Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent job. And this is what they sound like. My dog has fleas. Excellent, and it sounds tuned. So these here are the 4 strings. We also have this part right here. As you can see, I can stick my finger in there. It's hollow. That's called the sound hole. Let's see, this right here is the neck. It's the neck of the ukulele. It's where I put my hand here. I also put my hand on the body of the ukulele. This helps me hold the ukulele and allows me to put my hands in different positions on the strings in order to get different sounds. Those are chords. These right here, these little black knobs, they help me tune my ukulele. So they give me, when I twist these forward or twist them back, they allow me to change the way that my ukulele sounds. So it either tightens the strings or loosens them. And I think that's about it. All right, my friends. So there she is. Now we get to do our sing-along. We're gonna be singing This Land Is Your Land. And I'm gonna be doing the island strum. So I'm gonna scoot back a little bit so you can see me strum here. And the island strum, what that means is it's a certain pattern, how I run my fingers over the strings. The island strum sounds like this. And there's lots of different ways that you can strum the guitar. I mean, the ukulele and the guitar, but the ukulele in this instance. And we'll be doing the island strum. All right. Well, let's start singing. I love to sing so much. Are you ready? Here we go. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway, and saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. that one more time. This land was made for you and me. Thank you so much for singing with me today and learning a lot about the ukulele. I hope you had a fun time, and I hope you had so much fun exploring lots of different lovely landscapes. All right, that's me saying goodbye. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining me to make some lovely landscapes today. And it was so fun to sing about landscapes with Melanie and her ukulele, wasn't it? Ah, I hope that you get to go outside this spring and you see lots of landscapes of your own. That's it for Playdate this month. We'll see you again next time. Bye bye.